Learn English easily with Pro English.
Welcome back to the Speak English podcast. Today, we are going to solve a very specific Monday morning problem. You walk into work or school and someone asks you the inevitable question, "How was your weekend?" And your heart sinks. Why? Because you didn't climb a mountain. You didn't go to a fancy party. You didn't travel to Paris. You literally sat on your sofa in your pajamas for 48 hours. You did nothing. Most students feel embarrassed and just say, "It was good." Today, we are going to teach you how to embrace the boring weekend and make it sound intentional, recharging, and even productive. We call this the art of doing nothing.
Oh, I need this episode so badly. I dread that question every Monday. I feel this pressure to invent a life I don't have. I usually panic and say, "Oh, it was fine," and then the conversation dies. It makes me feel like the most boring person on earth. I want to be able to own my laziness. I want to say, "Yes, I did nothing and it was glorious," but I don't have the vocabulary for it. Nothing just sounds negative. How do we spin this? How do we turn laziness into lifestyle?
The first step is to reframe the concept. Stop using the word boring. Boring is a negative judgment. Instead, we want to use words that imply choice. You chose to rest. The best adjective for this is low-key. It was a low-key weekend. This is a fantastic A2B1 phrase. Low-key means quiet, relaxed, without drama or big events. It sounds cool and confident. If you say it was boring, people feel sorry for you. If you say it was low-key, people think, "Oh, nice, you are relaxed."
Low-key, I love that. It sounds trendy. I had a low-key weekend. It sounds like I could have gone to a VIP party, but I chose to stay home because I'm too cool for parties. Okay, so I was low-key. But what if they ask for details? What did you do? If I say I slept, it sounds like I am depressed or sick. How do I describe spending 12 hours in bed without sounding like I need medical help?
You need the phrasal verb catch up on. This is your best friend. To catch up on means to do something that you haven't had time to do recently. It implies that you are usually a very busy, important person, and this weekend was your maintenance time. So don't say I slept, say I caught up on sleep. Do you hear the difference? I slept is passive. I caught up on sleep is active maintenance. You can also catch up on laundry, catch up on emails, or catch up on my reading.
I caught up on sleep. That is brilliant. It makes sleep sound like a project I successfully completed. I finished my sleep project. I like that. What about TV? I watched an entire season of a show in one day. I feel guilty about it. If I say I watched TV, it sounds mindless. Is there a productive way to say I became a vegetable in front of Netflix for 6 hours straight?
Absolutely. The verb you need is binge watch, or simply binge. Originally, binge meant eating or drinking too much and it was negative. But now, thanks to streaming, it is a standard cultural activity. I binge-watched Stranger Things. It implies focus and dedication. It suggests the show was so good you couldn't stop. It's a compliment to the show, not an insult to your productivity. You can also say, I tore through a whole season. Tore through means you watched it very fast.
I tore through a season. That sounds aggressive. Like I attacked the TV. I like it. Okay, so I had a low-key weekend. I caught up on sleep and I binge-watched a series. That actually sounds like a pretty solid weekend. But what about the spaces in between? You know, when you aren't really sleeping or watching TV, you're just existing, walking from the kitchen to the sofa, looking at the fridge, moving a plant. Is there a word for that aimless moving around?
Yes, and it is one of my favorite verbs in the English language. The verb is to potter, British, or to putter, American. It means to move around doing small, pleasant, unimportant tasks in a relaxed way. I pottered around the house. I pottered about in the garden. It implies you were happy, maybe listening to music, watering a plant, making a tea, fixing a shelf. It is the opposite of stress. I just pottered around all Sunday. It paints a lovely picture of domestic peace.
Pottering. It sounds so gentle, like a hobbit. I pottered in my hole. Okay, I am definitely a potterer. I can potter for hours. Now I want to ask about the social aspect. Sometimes I do nothing because I just don't want to see people. I am socially exhausted. Is there a polite way to say, I avoided humanity? I know the acronym FOMO, fear of missing out, but I recently heard JOMO. Is that a real thing?
JOMO is very real. It stands for joy of missing out. It is the pleasure you feel when you know everyone else is at a loud, crowded party, and you are in your warm bed with a book. You can actually use this in conversation with friends. I had serious JOMO this weekend. It's a funny, self-aware way to admit you are becoming a hermit. You can also use the phrase, recharging my batteries. I needed to recharge my social battery. This explains why you didn't go out without sounding rude.
Recharging my social battery. That is very relatable. Introverts will understand that immediately. Okay, let's talk about chores. Sometimes my boring weekend is just cleaning. Cleaning the bathroom, vacuuming, grocery shopping. It's not low-key relaxation, it's just boring work. How do I make I clean my toilet sound like a valid weekend activity? Because sometimes that is my highlight.
We group these activities under the umbrella term life admin. This is a great modern noun phrase. I did a bit of life admin. This covers everything: banking, cleaning, booking dentist appointments, paying bills. It makes you sound organized and adult. Did you do anything fun? No, just a boring weekend of life admin. It's an acceptable answer that stops the other person from asking for details. They won't ask, oh, tell me about the bills you paid. It closes the topic neatly.
Life admin, that sounds so professional. I am the CEO of my own life and I was doing administration. Perfect. Okay, what about the opposite? When you should have done life admin but you didn't, you just lay on the floor. We talked about lounging, but is there a slang word for just being incredibly lazy? I've heard veg out. Is that still used? Like a vegetable?
Yes, veg out is a classic. I just vegged out on the sofa. It means your brain was off. Another great one is to chillax. It's a combination of chill and relax. Some people find it annoying, but it is very common. A more modern phrase might be rotting. On TikTok, Gen Z talks about bed rotting, staying in bed for so long you feel like you are decomposing. It's dark humor. I spent Saturday bed rotting. Use that with younger people, maybe not your boss.
Bed rotting. Wow, that is graphic. I think I will stick to veg out with my boss. Okay, let's review the grammar of the weekend. I often make mistakes with used to. If I want to say I usually play tennis, but this weekend I didn't, I get confused. Can I say, I used to play tennis this weekend? Or is used to only for the distant past? I feel like I mix up my routine grammar with my specific weekend grammar.
This is a grammar red flag. Used to is only for past habits that have stopped completely. I used to play tennis years ago, but I don't now. You cannot use it for a single weekend. For this weekend, you just use the past simple. I didn't play tennis this weekend. Or, if you want to contrast it with your routine, normally I play tennis, but this weekend I took a break. Don't complicate it. Routine equals present simple. This weekend equals past simple.
Okay, past simple. I didn't play. I took a break. I need to keep it simple. Sometimes I try to use fancy grammar and I trip over my own feet. What about going to? Sometimes on Friday people ask, what are you doing this weekend? And I want to say nothing. But I am going to do nothing sounds weird. Is there a better way to predict a boring weekend before it happens?
I am going to do nothing is grammatically correct, but socially it sounds a bit aggressive. A softer, more natural way to predict a quiet weekend is, I plan to take it easy, or I'm keeping it open. Keeping it open means you have no plans, but you are open to possibilities, even if you secretly plan to sleep. Another great phrase is, I'm going to have a quiet one. A quiet one implies a quiet weekend. Are you going out? No, I'm having a quiet one.
A quiet one. That is very British, isn't it? It sounds very polite. I'm having a quiet one. It sounds much better than I have no friends and no plans. Okay, I want to practice the intonation of nothing much. When someone asks, what did you do? And I say, nothing much. I usually say it with a falling, sad tone. Nothing much. Sad trombone. How do I say nothing much with confidence?
Intonation is everything. If your voice goes down, it sounds like a confession of failure. You want your voice to stay level or go up slightly at the end to sound breezy and happy. Not much. Bright tone. Nothing special, it was great. Adding it was great or it was lovely immediately frames the nothing as a positive choice. Compare nothing much. Sad versus nothing much, just relaxed. Happy, you control the vibe.
Nothing much, just relaxed. Okay, I can do that. It's acting. I am acting like a relaxed person. Now, what if the other person had an amazing weekend? They went skydiving and got married and met a celebrity. And then they ask me. I feel like my life admin answer is going to sound pathetic next to their skydiving. How do I transition from their huge story to my tiny story without killing the mood?
You validate them, then you pivot. You say, wow, that sounds incredible. I had a totally different vibe. Mine was super chill. By using the phrase totally different vibe, you are acknowledging the contrast without competing. You aren't trying to be cooler than them, you are just playing a different game. You were action man, I was Zen master. Both are valid. Don't apologize for your piece.
Zen Master. I like that title. I wasn't lazy, I was being a Zen master of the sofa. Okay, we have covered the vocabulary of the bed, catch up on sleep, the TV binge, the house Potter, life admin, and the mindset low-key JOMO. I feel like I have a full arsenal of weapons now. But there is one specific Monday situation we haven't touched. The Monday morning zombie feeling. When you rested all weekend but you are still tired. How do I complain about being tired without sounding ungrateful for my weekend off?
That is the social jet lag. You stayed up late, woke up late, and now your body clock is confused. You can say, I think I relaxed too much, or I'm suffering from a weekend hangover, even though I didn't drink. It's a joke about how hard it is to start the engine again. You can also use the phrase back to the grind. Well, back to the grind. It's a way of sharing the collective pain of Monday with your colleagues. It bonds you.
Back to the grind. That sounds like we are all working in a mill together. It is a bonding experience. Okay, Michael, I feel ready to face next Monday. But before we finish part 1, I want to ask about food. A big part of my boring weekends involves ordering pizza and eating leftovers. I don't cook. How do I describe my lazy eating habits? I ate trash isn't great. I ordered takeout is okay, but is there something more descriptive?
We often use the word treat here. I treated myself to a takeaway. Treat implies you deserve it, or you can say I ordered in. We just ordered in and watched movies. It sounds cozy. If you ate leftovers, you can say we did a fridge raid. It sounds adventurous, like you were hunting for food in your own kitchen. It adds a bit of fun to the laziness.
A fridge raid. That sounds like a Viking activity. I raided the fridge, I love it. Okay, so I treated myself, I raided the fridge and I pottered. My weekend sounds amazing now. I almost wish it was Monday, so I could tell someone.
Almost, don't wish away the weekend yet. In part 2, we are going to do a Monday morning simulator. I am going to play the annoying colleague who asks you a million questions, and you are going to practice deflection, positive spin, and changing the subject. We will also learn how to ask them questions so you can stop talking about your boring life. Are you ready for the simulation?
I am ready. Bring on the annoying questions. Fin delaparte 1. Quieres quagener la parte 2, turnos 31 a 60, tema. My weekend was boring, part 2. The Monday morning simulation duracin parte 2. 15 minutos aprox.
Welcome to the simulator. I am now going to transform into Gary. Gary sits at the desk next to you. Gary has no social awareness. Gary hates silence. He wants to know everything about your life so he can judge it or compare it to his own. Your goal is to survive Gary. You must answer his questions politely, but do not give him any ammunition to make you feel bad. You must protect your peace. Are you ready to face Gary?
I am terrified of Gary already. I can picture him holding a lukewarm coffee and leaning too close to my desk. I usually just freeze up and tell Gary everything just to make him go away, but then I feel drained. Today, I am going to use the low-key defense. I am going to be the Zen master. Bring it on, Gary. I am ready for your interrogation.
In character as Gary, hey, good morning, happy Monday, so tell me, what did you get up to this weekend? You were out of the office fast on Friday. Did you hit the town? Did you go to that new club downtown? I saw on Instagram that everyone was there. Don't tell me you just sat at home all weekend. Come on, give me the gossip. What did you do?
Acting? Oh, hey, Gary. Honestly, I had such a lovely, low-key weekend. I really needed to recharge my batteries after last week, so I just decided to have a quiet one. I didn't hit the town at all. I actually embraced the JOMO and stayed in. It was exactly what I needed. No gossip here, just pure relaxation. To Michael, how was that? Did I sound boring or did I sound intentional?
Breaking character, that was excellent. You deflected the party pressure perfectly. By saying it was exactly what I needed, you shut down any criticism. Gary can't say that's boring because you just said it was necessary. But Gary is persistent. He is not going to stop there. He is going to try to find a crack in your armor. He is going to pivot to productivity. Get ready for round 2. In character as Gary, oh right, recharging, I get it. Getting old, huh? Well, did you at least get anything done? Did you paint the garage? Did you finish that side hustle project you talked about? I ran a half marathon on Saturday morning.
Acting? Wow, a half marathon. That is impressive, Gary. Good for you. Me? No, I didn't paint the garage. I mostly just pottered around the house and caught up on some life admin. I cleared out my inbox and did some laundry. It wasn't exactly a marathon, but it felt great to get organized. We had totally different vibes this weekend. You were action man, I was just existing. To Michael, Gary makes me feel so lazy. He ran a marathon. I felt a pang of guilt there.
Breaking character, that guilt is what Gary wants, but you handled it well. You validated him, that is impressive. And then you stood your ground, it felt great to get organized. Now we need to learn the boomerang technique. You have been talking about your weekend for too long. The longer you talk about yourself, the more Gary can judge. You need to throw the ball back to him immediately. Ask him a question that requires a long answer so you can stop talking and just nod.
The boomerang? Okay. So instead of just saying good for you, I should have asked him for details. If I ask Gary about his marathon, he will probably talk for 20 minutes, and I can just zone out and drink my coffee. That is a survival strategy. I need specific questions that trigger long monologues. How was your time? Did you train a lot? What was the route? I need to become an interviewer so I can stop being the interviewee.
Exactly. People love talking about themselves. If you ask, how did you prepare for the marathon? Gary will give you a 15-minute speech about his diet and his shoes. You are free. But let's say you want to escape the conversation entirely. You don't want to listen to Gary either. You need the bridge to work. You need a phrase that acknowledges his comment but pivots immediately to a work task. Speaking of running, we need to run through these numbers before the meeting.
Speaking of running, that is a terrible pun, but it works. It's a smooth transition. I need more of these bridges. What if he is talking about food? I ate a great burger. How do I bridge that to I need to finish this spreadsheet? Speaking of burgers, this spreadsheet is meaty. No, that doesn't work. Help me with the transitions, Michael.
Ideally, the bridge connects logically, but if you can't find a connection, use the time check bridge. Look at your watch or your screen with a sudden look of panic. Say, oh, is that the time? I actually need to crack on with this report before 10 a.m. To crack on is a great British phrasal verb for start working hard. Or simply, I'd love to chat more, but I'm swamped this morning. Let's catch up later. Swamped means you are drowning in work. It is the ultimate excuse.
I'm swamped. That is my new favorite word. It sounds messy and urgent. Gary can't argue with a swamp. Okay, let's try a different scenario. What if the person asking isn't annoying Gary but my boss? I want to sound relaxed but not lazy. If I tell my boss I did nothing, will she think I have no ambition? Should I lie and say I read a business book? Or is honesty still the best policy here?
With a boss, you want to sound restored. Don't say I was lazy. Say I had a very restorative weekend. It sounds sophisticated. It implies you are taking care of your mental health so you can perform better at work. You can also mention one small cultural thing to sound smart. I watched a fascinating documentary. Even if you watched it in your underwear while eating cereal, watching a documentary sounds like active learning. It frames you as an intellectual, even in your downtime.
Restorative, that is a power word. And yes, the documentary defense. I actually did watch a documentary about cats. I can spin that. I was studying feline behavioral psychology. Okay, Michael, I want to address the future faking you mentioned in the intro. Sometimes the best way to avoid talking about the past weekend is to talk about the next one. How does that work? Do I just change the timeline?
Yes, this is a deflection tactic. If someone asks, "What did you do?" you give a short answer, not much, just chilled, and immediately say, "But next weekend I am actually planning to go hiking." You shift the focus to the future. It's safer because the future hasn't happened yet, so you don't need details. You can talk about your plans, which are exciting, instead of your reality, which was boring. It makes you sound like an active person, even if you cancel the hike next Saturday.
That is devious. I love it. I am selling them a dream of who I am. Next weekend I'm going to Paris. I'm not, but they don't know that. Okay, maybe I won't lie about Paris, but I can say I'm planning to check out that new museum. It changes the energy from boring past to exciting future. Now, what about body language? If I am slumped in my chair, I look tired. How do I look like I had a great weekend, even if I feel like a zombie?
Posture is part of the low-key brand. If you slump, you look defeated. If you sit up straight and smile, you look zen. But the ultimate body language hack for avoiding conversation is the props. Always have a prop. A mug of coffee, a notebook, a headset. If you are holding a pen and looking at a notebook, people hesitate to interrupt you. If you are just staring at the wall, you are an open target for Gary. Look engaged with your work, even if you are just doodling.
The prop strategy. I will carry a clipboard everywhere. No one disturbs a person with a clipboard. Okay, let's summarize the vocabulary we have learned today because my brain is full of excuses. We have low-key, pottering, life admin, binge watch, catch up on, and swamped. It's actually a really useful list for daily survival, not just weekends.
It is the modern survival kit. And remember the mindset shift. Boring is a luxury. In a chaotic world, having 48 hours to do nothing is a privilege. Successful people protect their downtime. So when you say, "I did nothing," say it with pride. You are not boring, you are exclusive. You are unavailable. You are offline. These are status symbols in 2024.
Offline is the new luxury. I am going to embrace that. I am not lazy, I am exclusive. I feel so much better. I actually think I might enjoy my next boring weekend even more because now I know how to describe it. I won't feel guilty while I am eating pizza in bed. I will think, I am currently engaging in a restorative fridge raid. It changes everything.
Exactly. Words create reality. If you describe your life as boring, it is boring. If you describe it as restorative, it is healing. Now, I have a challenge for you, Sarah, and for our listeners. Next Monday, when someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" do not use the word fine. I ban the word fine. Use one of the phrases from today. It was low-key. It was a quiet one. I had serious JOMO. Try it and see how the conversation changes.
I accept the challenge. No more fine. I am going to be the queen of low-key. And if Gary asks me too many questions, I am just going to ask him about his marathon training until he passes out from lack of oxygen. Thank you so much, Michael. This has been surprisingly therapeutic. I thought we were learning English, but we were actually learning confidence.
That is the secret, Sarah. Fluency is confidence. You don't need more words. You need to believe in the words you already have. Thank you for joining us in the simulator. We hope you survived Gary. Go forth and be proudly boring. See you in the next episode of the Speak English podcast.
Bye everyone, have a great, boring week. Fin del episodio completo. Turnos 1 a 60 completados. Duración total 30 minutos.